You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash. Today we are playing WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2008 featuring ECW. How is this game going to hold up? Will we give it a play it forever or a future endeavor? We also discuss WWE 2K23, My Rise, and much, much more.
And please subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on both Apple Podcast and Spotify. And follow us on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. And don't forget, for just $5 a month, you can get early and ad-free episodes of this podcast at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. Mr. Johnny Clash.
Mr. Anything is Feasible. What's up?
How are we doing? Last week is a very responsive episode from both our fans, people in our Patreon, as well as just the general internet population voicing their opinions on which they thought was better between WWF In Your House and WrestleMania, the arcade game. What say you? Sticking with it. You flip-flop for the first time on the podcast. Took 3 years.
I think that was one that kind of always bothered me, where I don't like...
It was your day of reckoning.
I don't like In Your House as much as WrestleMania, the arcade game, but I would be perfectly fine playing it.
Yeah, that's...
If it was on an arcade cabinet or if I happen to pop it in, I'd be like, okay, cool, I'll play through this.
I think that is a fair assessment.
And I think majority of that is to the roster. Yeah. I really like the roster. I like that you play as Triple H, play as Goldust.
It is a good roster.
Yeah.
It is a very good roster. But let's talk a little bit about 2K23. How's your My Rise experience going?
Where are you at? Are you playing at all? Are you still working on the 2K22 YouTube videos you promised everybody?
I finished the showcase. I thought the showcase was very good. I thought that the last match, we'll try to keep it spoiler free, but the last match where Cena runs out of the recording booth was kind of fun.
That was cool, right?
Yeah,
twice.
Twice. It was a good playthrough, an interesting perspective, and like we've said on this podcast, it was nice to not play as the same character over and over and over. I think at most you play as the same character 2 times.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much, but I have some really good feedback and I have some really bad feedback about this game. The good feedback is My Rise, the lock, which is the men's, is complete. I liked it a lot. I like that you don't have to just sit there and play through the main story. You can go off and do some side stuff, like we spoke about a few weeks ago. And that kind of prolongs your decision making. So if you want to gain the extra XP or whatever, you can go off and do stuff, but you can also just play through the story if you feel like it. And I think it's very remnant of Cody's journey, and I assume they did that on purpose. How you leave the WWE. I mean, he doesn't get fired for punching Shawn Michaels in the face, but you leave the WWE, you go to Japan, you go here and there. I mean, there's a fake like PWG looking thing. And you eventually circle back and make your way back to WWE, win the championship. Spoiler alert. You know what's going to happen. And then the women's one is towards the beginning, but it's same. It's like right on par so far. It seems pretty good. My issue, and I didn't know this was possible. I aired my grievances to you and to our Discord. No one really seemed to know this was a thing or that it's something you could do. But I purchased on Xbox Series X, and somehow I purchased the Xbox One edition. I don't know why that's an option or why it came. I picked the first one I saw.
I think that's the thing that blows my mind the most is
like,
why is that an option?
Yeah, like what reason did I have to scroll through them?
Yeah,
so all this time where people in our Patreon have been complaining about certain issues with Create a Wrestler, with this, with that. I'm like, guys, I don't have an issue with this. And a few weeks ago, I said my issues with the image uploader, how I had to, weirdly, I had to select Xbox One and it worked. Well, and I would have never realized this, but I was loading up the game the other day, and on the bottom it said like Xbox One, like with the little save circle or something. I was like, Xbox One. Oh no. So I went to the home screen and it said WWE 2K23 for Xbox One. Now everyone's saying maybe you could try to get a refund. I've already done the MyRise. I've already done created characters. I have stuff downloaded. What's the point? I think what I would do here is maybe when it goes on sale, get it for the PC.
I think that's a smart move.
Not on Xbox again, because I'm still enjoying it. There's no difference. There's some times where I'm looking at, like, say, a hair texture or something. I'm like, that looks really bad. Like, why does that hair look bad when everything I'm seeing online looks really good? And now I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Well, you know what we'll have to do? Because I got it for the PC. You'll have to remote in, play some matches, and we'll see, how it holds up and what differences are there.
It's like the hair texture is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Because I played 2K22 on the PC, which I think was also the Xbox One version. And I didn't really notice much of a change getting it on the next gen. I was like, oh, that's weird. Like even NHL, like the lighting's different and stuff.
Huh.
So I'm just mad that I let that happen and mad that it's a possibility that it could happen.
Yeah, I don't understand why there wouldn't be a notice like, hey, FYI, you're playing on this console. We can detect that you're playing on this console. You're buying this version.
Right, and I'm also a Game Pass person, so I download a lot of Game Pass games, so I'm not paying for games. So when I see only $60, I don't blink at that because I haven't paid $70 for a game yet.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's just a weird situation, and I feel like an idiot. And I'm going to keep playing it though. So.
I'm sure you could raise a valid argument to try to get your money back, but like you said, it's not worth the headache of recreating and replaying through everything.
No. Plus, I'm almost just done with everything I want to do at this point. So
yeah. All right. Well,
maybe after the second MyRise, the Legacy, I'll start playing online for the first time in years. Who knows? Who knows?
A little extra life, a little more legs under there. All right. Well, with that, John, do you think it's time for us to head on over to this week's deep dive?
I think I'm ready to take the plunge into this game featuring ECW.
All right, SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, like John said, featuring ECW, released for the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, in which it is the first wrestling game on the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation Portable, the Nintendo DS, the Wii, the Xbox 360, as well as there's a mobile version. And all of these come out November 13th, 2007. Published by THQ, developed by Ukes, and the DS version is developed by Amaze Entertainment. And there's some stiff competition going up against this game in 2007. Long list here. You've got Wrestle Kingdom 2 for the PlayStation 2, and that's it. There's no... yeah, absolutely. But that's it. It's SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 and Wrestle Kingdom 2, both for the PlayStation 2. And
that's a game I'd like to remaster one day. Wrestle Kingdom 2.
We did Wrestle Kingdom 2? I thought we just did Wrestle Kingdom 1.
I'm pretty sure we did both. Do we have to look it up?
I think Wrestle Kingdom is the one that has the two different color covers, right?
No. King of Colosseum. There's red and green.
That's what it is. King of Colosseum.
Yeah.
It was King of something. I knew there was
Colosseum
King.
2 is not the 2 covers. That's a different game. But yeah,
That's
Wrestle
right,
Kingdom
yeah.
2 is one I would like to go back and remaster because
The King confused me, but yeah.
it's on one of my favorite engines, Day of Reckoning. So
And that you said we recently played that, so maybe we give it a little bit.
Yeah,
we
we'll
do
give it
that. We give it another year or so.
it could even be just a, I don't know, a little playthrough here and there.
a little bonus ski.
But all right, let's get into this game here. This is the 9th overall installment if you're counting all the SmackDown games, which
Damn.
I of course am. This is the 4th game in the SmackDown vs. Raw series. It's a sequel to obviously 2006's SmackDown vs. Raw. You guessed it, 2007. And it's the first WWE game to prominently feature ECW, as you can see on the cover where it says
Hence the featuring ECW.
And even for a game that calls out featuring ECW, there's not that many ECW superstars in here.
But there's a specific ECW match.
Does it right? You get the
Very
ECW
specific.
match, you get the arena. You know they're trying to get you into the hype with all the razor blades everywhere and everything. You get Marcus Corvon. I mean, what more ECW than that?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
But there was
That's okay.
a lot of new features added this year's game. There was a new struggle submission system, which we encountered multiple times in our playthrough, where you could wrench it with R, or I could try to break it by just moving the lock around with the right thumbstick. And it's not my favorite struggle system. I'll say that. I think
genuinely forgot about it.
I'm actually a fan of everything they put in this year's 2K23 game. I like the submission system. I like the pin system. It's all perfect, honestly, for me personally. I know other people might have gripes with it, but I think
So
for
which
my
pin
play style,
did you go
like
with?
it. I'm a masher. I'm not doing any mini game. I'm meshing and I'm getting out of there. And I'm surprised my Xbox controller is holding up because there have been some really close calls where I kick out at like 2.9. And I'm so proud of it. I'm like, yeah. It's been a lot of fun. But now you could also determine how much pressure is applied to a submission, which, whatever. It's not really that
And you can lose your grip, which would cause a break.
Yeah, you're starting to slip. You're losing your grip. You're in this game alone, whatever the hell the lyrics are. And now the ECW brand also brings in some new weapons. You now have barbed wire 2x4s. You have some mops. You have all the weapons under the ring, which I think debuted with the Extreme Rules match. So this, I can't say specifically that this was the start of it, but from my memory, I think it was.
I want to say that you're right, and I agree with you on that.
Someone will be pissed at us for not knowing that. I don't care.
It's okay. We make mistakes.
Right, but you also get guitars, which is cool. And now the barbed wire bats and the tables with a finisher can be set on fire. That's a long-standing animation that I'm pretty sure is still the animation that's used when you light the table and you go, oh. But I have an issue with some of it because you use a finisher. You get a finisher easier in this game than in most recent games.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's really quick.
But you use a finisher to light the barbed wire 2x4 on fire, but it doesn't do that much damage to someone unless you have like the hardcore ability attached to you.
Yeah, and I also think it depends on how you hit them. I don't think if you
all right,
in our playthrough you set the barbed wire 2x4 on fire, and I hit you with it while you were on the ground. I also think it depends on how you hit them with it. One, because the animation is different and you get a better effect, but two, like you said, they also the perks that go along with it.
Now, my gripe with the table is you can't move it. You could move it by running into it and eventually just get stuck in a corner.
Yeah.
But there's a specific way to go through it, and you can't actually pick it up once it's on fire and place it somewhere, which is kind of a drag.
I guess makes sense, because how you would just have to like
move it.
You could grab the leg and drag it.
I remember that being an issue when I actually had this game, though. So I wanted to like set it up in cool ways. I would like watch videos like, oh, they did it this way, I want to do that. And I tried, but it was being like really hard. Now, I've said this, I think, a bunch with the PSP versions of these games. This is the one I owned. Going back and playing it.
And it shows in your playthrough because you stomped me.
I had this on the PSP, though, and it was super cool. Not really the greatest of games, But I do remember just having it on the PSP and just being like, just thrilled that I was able to take a WWE game somewhere with me.
Now, we've said on the podcast that we are going to treat all of the PSP games as separate releases. This is because of the same reason that we did, like Attitude and all those.
So I think there's a line there.
Do you think that once you hit like the PlayStation 3 generation that they kind of are the same game?
I think, yeah, like even these, they're the same game. Whereas like Def Jam, Vendetta, or whatever, Fight for New York, whatever it's called, that's a different game.
Takedown?
Yeah, sure. I think that would apply to this.
Throwdown?
I don't know. Throwdown? Sure. But okay, back to this. We have new fighting styles here that this is kind of the debut. They don't really come back till like around 2K18, I think. And
it's called the Takeover. I was wrong.
Takeover, yeah. Each wrestler gets a different style. There's Powerhouse, Showman, Hardcore, Dirty, Brawler, High Flyer, Submission, and Technical. And a lot of people didn't like this. This was pretty criticized. It was kind of like presets where if you're a hardcore wrestler, hardcore moves are going to make you better.
Yeah.
But what if it's a regular match? It's not going to make you better. Or it just seemed very
But then this
unfair.
evolves over time and you can pick two styles.
Yeah, and it's kind of lame that you store your finisher and instead of it storing a finisher and there's no signature moves yet, it just stores your ability.
Yeah.
So, but we complain about that, but at the same time, we complain about the HUD being so cluttered in future games, whereas that is too separate.
Crisp and clean and small. There is not a lot to it by any means at all.
Yeah.
That rhymed, and I did not plan to do that.
But overall, good presentation of this game. The graphics are nice and crisp and shiny, and everyone looks great. And we actually had kind of the opportunity to see two different versions because we originally loaded up the PS2 version, and then we were able to actually finally get it on PS3. And the PS3, both of us just looked like, oh, wow, this is just clean, crisp. We were using
way better than I remember.
Using HDMI cables in this generation. And you could just tell from the entrance, it looks like an arena. The crowd looks really great. They're animated. They're all different. I can't say enough good things about what this game looks like. Yeah,
graphically, it does not age that bad.
No, but yeah, there are some flaws. I think because we're in the PS3 era, it's not going to be that much different than what we get today.
I honestly think the weakest part of that is like the icons.
Yeah, the icons are very silly. They're very
like in game, you're fine, but like when you're picking your character, you're like, what?
Yeah,
what is this?
Some of like the facial features are missing, and it's probably just like the lighting they used in whatever engine.
Because it's like a weird mixture of both. It's like it almost looks like if I had to guess how these were done, it's almost like someone gave them the model, the in-game model of the character, and said, "We need an artistic." Like rendering of this character. Like they didn't give them a picture of Stone Cold. They gave them a picture of the render for Stone Cold and went, draw that.
But I'm also glad that it's not just a screen, like a regular PNG image of the wrestler.
Yeah. It brings
you see what you get.
Yeah. Kind of like keeps you in the mindset of the game style. But speaking of keeping you in the mindset of the game style, John, I think this is a interesting soundtrack here.
This is a wrestling soundtrack. This is before the P. Diddy's and Machine Gun Kellys and all that.
And a lot of repeat bands here. Like you get 2 tracks from almost every band on here. You got 8-Ball and MJG. You got 2 tracks from AM Conspiracy. You got Chevelle, Nobody Chevelle. Famous, Non-Point. You got 2 songs by Project 86, Puddle of Mud, 2 songs by Seven Dust. And that's it. A 12-track soundtrack that...
Well, this goes back to what we spoke about last week, I think, when we were talking about the soundtrack for 2K23. It is a small soundtrack. And I did what you told me I could do, and I turned them off, and I put wrestler themes on.
What do you think?
It is so much better.
I'm glad that I was able to tell you that little trip.
It was the first thing I did the next time I played.
That's great. I'm glad. So let's talk about your game modes here. So this is the last game that has the Buried Alive match, which very infamously, I guess we'll say, I played recently on an episode and took quite a bit of time to end that Buried Alive match. So I'm not that sad to see it go. But back in the day, I did enjoy them. I played them quite a bit. They were fun. But going back, took me a little bit longer to get the W than I had planned.
Yeah.
And then you got your exhibition matches. You got a normal match, Buried Alive match, First Blood, Hardcore, Hell in a Cell, Iron Man, Ladder, Last Man Standing, Normal Submission, Ultimate Submission, Table, TLC, Steel Cage, Parking Lot Brawl, and the match that we alluded to earlier, the ECW Extreme Rules match. You also have the Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, and online gameplay as well.
And I believe the Ultimate Submission match is just an Iron Man with only submissions.
Yeah, it's the Ultimate, the Iron Submission match.
Yeah, and of course, most of these are also available in 2-on-2, 3-on-3, whatever it is, a triple threat, fatal 4-way, 6-way, and one of the pretty elimination chambers here.
I don't really think that there's ever been a bad looking elimination chamber.
No, some of them, I think for me, some of them were a little fuzzy in the PS2 era.
I think the camera angle was always the thing that bothered me the most. But like the chamber themselves, they've always looked good, even on like the older gen. But it's just like sometimes we were like really pulled out, so they were just like, we got to get the full effect of the chamber. And you're like, okay, but now I'm wrestling with like 3 pixels of a character, and I don't know what I'm doing.
So I think for elimination chamber matches in these games, as well as now the War Games match, there's too much going on at once.
Yeah,
that it should focus more on your character. Like
man, War Games match was. I played a couple of them.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Because you're doing stuff all the way in the right ring, someone's doing something all the way in the left ring, and it's very zoomed out. I think that's where we can implement what we played the other day in what was that game for Steam where you get the split screen going on. Like, I would love to have
Split screen.
Yeah, what was that crappy Steam game we played that we liked?
Pro Wrestling X.
Yeah, that one. I think maybe, what if it focuses on you for most of the match, but then like in a little bubble, kind of like we're looking at with each other right now, you see the rest of it, and then when you go into that zone, it flip-flops.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I don't know.
You hear that, 2K? Put that in the next game. Listen, we're here to help you.
It's the first one, so whatever. We'll let it slide this one. It's still a very fun match. And I love that you could jump off the top. And we digress. We keep going back. You could tell we like the game because...
And the mods that have been made for the War Games match are insane.
Oh, the mods for a lot of stuff has been insane.
It's wild.
People
wild,
are going
wild.
crazy here. But okay.
All right, so take us through 24/7 mode.
So this is where they took kind of the season mode and general manager mode and just blended them together. So now it's called 24/7 mode. If you pick a wrestler or a created wrestler, you go through the season. If you pick a GM, such as Jonathan Coachman for Raw, Teddy Long for SmackDown, and Tommy Dreamer for ECW, you choose ECW. That's just straight up GM mode. Now the season mode, you pick, like I said, either a wrestler in the game or a created wrestler, and you play through to try to achieve Legends status. You win matches, you do feuds, you could train.
I remember this.
Yeah, so when you're not wrestling, you have to train, exercise, relax, or take part in like non-wrestling activities that have positive or negative effects, which kind of sway your character's development. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. I could see they're like, oh, the GM mode's going to control everything now. So are the wrestlers. And you're like, I don't really want to train today. But that's something EA does in a lot of the sports games. You used to have to do the training, but now,
I do remember that.
Now you just click training and pick what you want to train, and that's it.
It's how they used to do it in the Blitz the League games. Mm-hmm. You would have to train in the first game. I think you actually have to train, and it's like little mini games. And then the second game, it's like, do you want to just speed through this, or maybe give your character steroids? Like, it was very different for the second one.
There was an older game that we played as well that had this too. I want to say it might have been Tag Team Wrestling. I could be wrong.
I do remember like a little 8-bit gym.
Yeah.
Where you had to train your wrestler.
Either tag team or
American. Oh, we didn't do American tag team yet.
No, it was one of those, but it's the same thing. And
yeah,
I'm just not that into it.
Yeah.
I want to just play matches. I want to see the story unfold, and that's that.
And then in addition to that, you go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's fun. It's fun mode, but yeah.
I very much remember playing through this, and as soon, like hearing you say legend status, I was like, oh my God, I remember this.
Yeah. It was fun, but like at the same time,
it was a lot.
It just took forever. But you had a whole year to play it, so.
Yeah. You also got your tournament modes. You got your King of the Ring. You've got your Beat the Clock. And then, of course, little quick play tournament, little create a tournament. And then moving on from that, you've got the Hall of Fame mode, which is it's the replacement for the challenges that were in the other SmackDown games. But I would almost say it's kind of akin to like a showcase mode now, because the whole point of it is you relive iconic, infamous matches. And you got matches that go all the way back to 95 here. So some of the matches that you got Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. You got Bret Hart versus Stone Cold. You've got Extreme Rules Fatal 4-Way, Mick Foley versus The Undertaker, TLC, and a bunch more. And yeah, you earn unlockables by playing through these, but it's just, it's exactly what you would expect from a showcase mode now, but now it's a little bit more diverse in this game, where you're not just focusing on necessarily one character, you're just reliving big moments and playing through those matches.
Well, there's also some not even matches in here. You could do create a championship, create a stable, GM mode where it says to play the GM mode and win a trophy and get the unlockables. It's like, oh my God, like there's a lot here to do.
I remember being really big into the challenges and then really big into Hall of Fame mode.
Yeah.
When
some
I was
of them
younger.
are just hard.
Oh yeah, some of them are insanely hard, but I remember like being that person. I was like, I'm going to do them all, and I never did. I never finished them all because some of them are just ridiculous.
They're all on Legends difficulty.
Yeah, but young, bright-eyed George could dream that he was an amazing gamer and was going to beat all these games on Legendary.
Oh yeah, I was in my second year of college here. I was definitely playing this until like 3 a.m. every night.
Oh yeah. Same here. There is also a little shop. The WWE shop is in the game where you can unlock the legends in the game. We'll talk about them when we go through the roster. You can unlock some attires. We'll say there's a DX attire. We'll call Bald Vince an attire as well. There's belts that you can unlock. And, of course, there's always movesets and additional abilities that you can unlock as well to use in the Creative Suite, in which you can create movesets, stables, superstars, entrances, and championships. We talk about this every time that this is here. John hates creating movesets, but I believe that these were the games that you could also just be like, hey, I want my brand new
Jeff Hardy. Done.
I was just going to say, I have this new character that I just made. I want Jeff Hardy's moveset, and that's what John did every single time.
I'm looking now at the roster. It was either Jeff Hardy. Sometimes I would do Shawn Michaels. It's just,
I think I did Randy Orton.
Eddie was a good one.
Eddie was a good one. Yeah, I would do Orton a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good one. But before we get into the roster, of course, everybody's favorite, there was some cheat codes here. I don't know if you could actually call these cheats or just like unlockables. But if you put in DX Costume 69K2, unlocks the DX attire for Shawn and Triple H. And Kelly KG12R unlocks alternative Kelly attire.
Okay.
Who is, I guess, the new big thing here for ECW. Now, are you ready to read the roster? You want to go one for one here, and then we'll point out the obvious missing one at the end.
Yes. All right. So you wanna kick us off here with Raw?
I'll kick us off here. For Raw, you got Bobby Lashley, who's on the cover representing ECW, Candice Michelle, Carlito, Jeff Hardy, John Cena, JTG, King Booker, Melina, Mickey James, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. McMahon, Randy Orton, Sandman, Shad, Shane McMahon, Shawn Michaels, Snitsky, Triple H, Umaga, and right next to him, William Regal.
And then for SmackDown, you have Ashley, Batista, Chavo Guerrero, Chris Masters, Edge, Finley, Gregory Helms, JBL, Kane, Kenny Dykstra, Mark Henry, Matt Hardy, Michelle McCool, MVP, Rey Mysterio, Ric Flair, The Great Khali, Tori Wilson, and The Undertaker. Now for ECW, you've got CM Punk, Elijah Burke, Hardcore Holly, Johnny Nitro, Kelly, and Marcus Corvon. Take us through those legends, John.
All right, the legends. We got Bret Hart. Now the PSP exclusive Eddie Guerrero and Jim Neidhart, Mick Foley, Rick Rude, Roddy Piper, Sabu, the PSP exclusive Sergeant Slaughter, Steve Austin, Terry Funk, The Rock, and Tommy Dreamer.
The Game Marks podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, providing precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, is it a game changer.
It's the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. The Performance Package 4.0 comes with the Lawnmower 4.0, body hair trimmer, the Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, below the belt toner and deodorant, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies.
It's definitely holding all my goodies, if you know what I mean. Over 7 million men worldwide trust Manscaped with their grooming needs, and we've got an exclusive offer for all of the Game Marks out there. You can get 20% off your order and free worldwide shipping just by using the code GameMarks at manscaped.com.
Unlock your confidence and always use the right tool for the job with Manscaped. Manscaped.com and use code GameMarks. Now, who is the glaring missing?
Rob Van Dam.
Yep.
Who left in 2007. This is the time of WrestleMania 23. The main events here, we got, who is it? Cena and Triple H, I think, and Batista and Taker. And then Bobby Lashley and Umaga. We'll skip that one. Terrible match. Yeah, I don't know. This roster is very weak, if you ask me. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 per 20 for Raw, and then like 19 for SmackDown, and then ECW's 6. And then you get Eddie Guerrero only on the PSP, and the Legends are also kind of eh. I get it because back then Legends were whatever, but now there's like a license for every legend in the world to be in these games.
It's to me, it's so strange to have a game that you specifically call out featuring ECW, and then you have 6 ECW wrestlers. And like, I remember buying this and be like, maybe there's more ECW guys that are unlockable. Maybe that's how you have to play it. You got to go through, you unlock more people, and then you get them. But no, it's just not a thing. And correct me if I'm wrong. Are there characters that show up on the loading screen that actually aren't in the game?
Like who?
I'm trying to think.
We saw Melina. I don't know who you could think.
Tommy Dreamer?
Tommy's a legend.
Tommy's a legend.
Yeah. Yeah, come on, George. My favorite is Marcus Corvon, though.
For some reason,
the coolest TNA wrestler who was the NWA champion, and this is what you turned him to with shitty music and just they ruined him. He could have been so cool. Now, funny thing is, Bobby Lashley in 2007, when this game came out, is on the cover representing ECW because he was ECW champion, but then he was drafted to Raw and stripped of the ECW championship.
That's just the curse of changing things in real time before games release. Every wrestling video game in the history of wrestling video games is outdated by the time it comes out. Well, every single one.
Tell me about it, AEW Fight Forever. Now let's talk about the differences in consoles here, because we mentioned a little bit about PS2 and PS3 before, but the PS2, the graphics and gameplay are similar to 2007. So you're not far off. You're just not getting those next gen. You're not getting the smoothness and the clear, beautiful images of the PS3 and the 360. But listen, if you had to get it on PS2, you had to get it on PS2. It also includes the 24/7 mode, of course, and much like the other ones, there's really not that much of a difference. It's not like what did we play the other day? The one that's sitting here, 2K17, where the PS3 version's so different than the PS4.
I feel like for the longest time, the major glaring differences for a lot of these games weren't necessarily from no, I wanted to say that it was mostly just graphical, and that like content wise, it was mostly the same from like old school, like the later gen console to the newer gen console, and that the always big major things was when you got like a Wii release or a PSP release, because that was like tried and true for like most franchises over the course of like a decade.
Yeah, I don't know. PS3 and 360 differences. Now, this is something everybody wants to come back. You ready?
Oh, I already know what it is.
Xbox 360 has custom soundtracks where you can import your own music, which was so cool.
The best.
Now, I
Who'd
remember,
you set as your custom?
Oh, that's a good question. In 2007? Probably like a Static Lullaby or something. I don't know.
I think at one point I had like an Alice in Chains song that wasn't currently being used in wrestling.
This is a good question. Maybe like a Treyu.
Ooh.
But I remember
Lip Gloss and Black.
If you uploaded them to the Xbox, they just played like normal throughout the game. You had to upload the ones that you got on LimeWire that included the arena effect, or else it would just be a straight up song playing.
You just heard a song, yeah.
Kind of weak, but cool because no other game had that. Now,
and then if like the songs had like longer intros, you could cut them up and be like, okay, I want it to come in at this part so I could time it with how my entrance works out, and I come out at this mark.
Yeah, I purposely I went in and I would download. It didn't. No, here's the thing. It didn't take burnt CDs, I remember.
No, you would have to like load the file onto an onto a USB stick and plug it in and like drag it over. I did that on the PlayStation 3 for years.
Because, this is the 360. I remember making the CD with updated music for the wrestlers, and it wouldn't take. And that annoyed me.
I know on the PS3, all you had to do was have a thumbstick, and you just load it right onto the system itself.
Now, the PS3, the difference is you could have first-person view during entrances where you could actually walk down.
I do remember
the character, and move.
It was not great. It was not great.
What was the point of that? I don't know. I guess to
bring it back.
That was the start of VR.
Bring it back.
All right, now the Wii version, which woof. Instead of the 24/7 mode, it features the main event mode where you play as a created wrestler, rise to the top. It's obviously not as drawn out as the other games. It also features only chairs as the weapons and has 5 match types, including singles match, hardcore match, tag team, triple threat, and a knockout match. The ever so famous WWE knockout match.
Yeah, it's a brawl for all.
Now the PSP version, kind of the same graphics as the previous game's SmackDown vs. Raw port. It's not terrible for what it is. It's just,
But here's where they get you, John.
It's a UMD.
You mentioned it before. The exclusive characters.
I will never, probably in a million years, pick Sergeant Slaughter as a character in any game. I will.
There's a whole Sergeant Slaughter game that we have to play.
Oh, I will definitely pick Eddie Guerrero. But Jim Neidhart too, I don't know. I don't know if I'm picking him. But those are really your differences. And like I said, I played through the story or the season mode on the PSP. And, I had the console version also. It compared. Now, if I look back, I'm sure I'm like, what is this crap? But then it was the coolest thing in the world. I could bring it with me wherever I went.
I'm excited. Maybe if we do a little bonus episode, we'll do a little bonus PlayStation. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we just do an episode that's just like mini episodes where it's like, okay, we're going to play all of the SmackDown vs. Raw PSP games, and then we're gonna do, we'll just do like a bulk episode of all like the handheld PlayStation generation.
We certainly could do that. But now, lastly, well, not really lastly, the DS version has a season mode. It has mini games and touchscreen control, where
I want mini games back in wrestling games.
you had the dual screens, the one touchscreen screen where you would do some stuff, whatever. And then the top
it's like
screen,
Nacho Libre all over again.
Nacho Libre, oh my God. The top screen was just the HUD, which isn't the worst thing. It's just, I don't know.
It's a lot of real estate for a HUD.
It's a lot of real estate for a DS game. I don't know. But there's also a mobile version, George. This is back when we got mobile versions. It looks like it's straight out of the N-Gage. It's just kind of...
No thanks. Hard pass. Hard pass.
It doesn't look nice at all. They did eventually give it like a reskin and an upgrade a little later on, so it looked nicer. But woof. Just woof.
Yeah. And I don't really know if there is, from this generation until we start getting like really like full on like smartphone games, if there's a good mobile wrestling game around this time, it takes a long time. There are okay ones, but there's a lot that just kind of are, you just kind of scratch your head and say why.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this artwork, John. I think this is a quintessential cover. I think a lot of people know this cover when they think of the SmackDown vs. Raw series. I think this, the year that comes after this is the 09. It's got DX on the cover. I think a lot of people think of that one as well.
Well, you know what it was? 06 and 07 were very similar.
Yeah.
And then this one, they just completely veered off, and it's a really nice cover.
And how are you not going to, stop and take a look at a giant image of The Undertaker on the video game? Like, everybody knows the Undertaker.
At this point, John Cena's starting to become John Cena that we know. He's main eventing WrestleMania. It's just
different color scheme here. Not a ton of wrestling of WWE games have this predominantly blue background. A lot of the times they either go with red, or there's fire, or there's, think of how many years with all the 2K games that we have someone that's got like embers around them. Like, there's not a ton. Like, it's a different background color.
Yeah, this one's cool. Now the
Day of Reckoning comes to mind of another game that has a blue background. One of the WrestleMania games has a blue background too, right?
Which Day of Reckoning are you talking about?
Doesn't one of the Day of Reckonings have a blue background? Or am I thinking of WrestleMania?
I think you're thinking of WrestleMania 19. I mean, you could kind of count Day of Reckoning 2. It's Stacy Keibler, and then Cena and Triple H are like monotone blue.
No. I think I'm thinking of WrestleMania. All right.
WrestleMania 19?
Yeah.
It's okay. You weren't a GameCube guy. Let's talk about the back. It says, how will you play WWE Hall of Fame, the celebration of sports entertainment? Only the most successful, recognized, celebrated, and unique superstars achieve this status. The path to becoming a WWE legend is your choice. How will you play? Funny, they only have a few legends when that's like their big shtick here.
I'm still wrong. It's not 19. 19 is gold.
The logo's... Are you thinking of 21?
I will find what I'm talking about. You go.
WrestleMania 21's blue. Nobody really cares about that one, though. Okay.
I'm pretty sure nobody cares about me figuring out which one is the right color, but I'm going to figure it out.
Now, all right, let's go through these first two pictures first. WWE 24/7 mode, Become a Legend, shows The Undertaker doing his signature pin. It says 8 unique superstar fighting styles with a nice picture of Jeff Hardy doing a swanton bomb through, like, with the Raw stage in the background. This is not a picture I would have chosen for the all-new struggle system. It's got... Are you with me looking right now?
Yes, I am.
Do yourself a favor and go look at the back cover of this game.
Describe it to the people, John.
I will not, but it says all-new struggle submission system with Triple H and Randy Orton. It says featuring ECW, and it has CM Punk swinging a guitar at Tommy Dreamer with a flaming table in the background. I mean, if you're going to say ECW at the time, that's what you got to choose. CM Punk this was the dawn of Punk. This was the second summer of Punk.
The second summer of Punk.
First coming here. Now,
21.
When? Yeah, 21.
21.
When was that crappy ECW pay-per-view where they had Elimination Chamber that nobody went to? That had to be around this time. December to... No, not December to Dismember. What was that? Yeah, December to Dismember. 2006. Okay, so that was a year prior. That was in December. So only a few months before this game came out. Man, what a flop. Big Show was the champion. I want to read... What is this card here? It opened with Stevie Richards and Rene Dupree. Then it had the Hardys and Eminem in a tag team match. That's not ECW at all. Balls Mahoney and Matt Stryker in a Strikers Rules match. Elijah Burke and Sylvester Turkey defeated the FBI with Trinity. Trinity's not in this game, right?
No.
Trinity once bought one of my t-shirts. Back when I owned a clothing company a few years ago, I did roller derby events, and she was on the roller derby team. And she bought a shirt.
Huh.
That's my Trinity story. Davari with the Great Khali defeated Tommy Dreamer. Oh boy, that's a... Ariel and Kevin Thorne defeated Kelly Kelly and Mike Knox. This is... And then Bobby Lashley defeated The Big Show to become champion against Test, RVD, Hardcore Holly, and CM Punk. Oh, we didn't mention Hardcore Holly's only in the DS version of this game.
You're right.
So go buy this game. Get Hardcore Holly.
Hardcore Holly's only in the DS version.
Oh, boy. But that's pretty much your cover. Then it just kind of runs down what's happening here. ECW invades and all that. All the features.
Yeah. But for those who didn't hear, the game that I was thinking of, WrestleMania 21. Big blue artwork.
He's so afraid to be wrong.
No, it was driving me nuts that I couldn't remember what it is. I was like, I could see it in my head because didn't we use that as a theme for one of the Game Breeze?
Nope.
No?
Still no.
Shit.
Oh, it's a... Yeah, no. Weird cover, though, because it doesn't feature a single wrestler.
No, just big logo.
Now,
big logo, big blue background.
We already touched on most of the art style, how great we think this game looks. Now, within the season mode, there's certain things you could do, like go in Vince McMahon's plane and sign contracts,
which,
walk backstage.
Who doesn't want to do that in a video game?
You could fight in the little scaffold section. As you hear me and George mention in our playthrough on YouTube, that the Hell in a Cell appears smaller in this game.
Yeah, baby cell.
It's like a little
tiny baby cell.
Smackdown 2 Hell in a Cell.
I dare say that it's cute. It is a cute Hell in a Cell.
Little Hell in a Cell. This is the game with the... You could put the chair around the leg or the head and stomp on it. You could throw guys with the carry system over the top or out of the ring and off the cell.
The cage.
Yeah. So a lot to this game. I think graphically... It's good.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. But there's some certain glaring gameplay stuff that holds it back a bit. And we'll mention some of the other stuff later. But let's talk about the arenas that are in this game.
Would you like me to take you through the arenas?
Sure, take us through.
All right. So you've got Raw, SmackDown, ECW, Heat, Judgment Day, One Night Stand, Vengeance, Great American Bash, SummerSlam, Unforgiven, No Mercy, Cyber Sunday, Survivor Series, December to Dismember, Armageddon, New Year's Revolution, Royal Rumble, No Way Out, WrestleMania 23, and Backlash.
Now, funny story is when I posted these in here, the screenshot, I removed the dates so you wouldn't read them.
I want you to know something. The first thing that I noticed, I was like, oh, that's weird. There's no years.
I removed them before putting them in here. You could probably see some of my little eraser marks from Photoshop somewhere. Yeah, I do. I was not having you do that again.
Oh, I thought I was wondering why you were laughing before I started to read them, and I had assumed that I hadn't scrolled down far enough in the notes, and that there was going to be like Raw, SmackDown, ECW, Heat, and then 12 or 13 years.
Oh, but you did miss one.
No,
did you know?
Son of a bitch.
Did you know this is Sandman's only WWE Games appearance and CM Punk's first appearance?
Did you know an early working title for this game was Smackdown vs. Raw? ECW Invasion is indicated by an early logo.
Did you know SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 is on eBay for as low as $4 used and $90 sealed, with the collector's edition going for $250?
John, what am I doing right now?
Googling the collector's edition.
Yes, I am.
All right. Now let's talk about those quick, because the PS3 version has a special collector's edition.
There's one on Amazon.
It comes with a DVD detailing the game, and it has a Kelly Kelly trading card and a book featuring various superstars' signature moves. So we've come a long way in the pre-order world.
Yeah, there's no figures or...
Now, the 360 version had a High Flyer and Dirty editions, which came with a special edition slipcase, I'm a High Flyer or I Fight Dirty t-shirts, a one-page, I don't know which month, Kelly Kelly calendar, 8 numbered limited edition Fight Styles postcards, and a Create a Superstar mini guide. That's cool.
That is that's different.
So did you find them?
So there are a bunch listed on online, very easy to find, obviously with the wonders of a Google machine, but I tell you, there's nothing that really jumps out at me. It's not exciting. It is a in-game Kelly Kelly model trading card. The sleeve or the signature book looks cool. The sleeve is the front cover, just a metal sleeve. It's
there's not many complete on eBay either.
You know, it's got its place.
Oh, wait, the Kelly Kelly thing is the insert for the CD. So when you open the disc, it's the inside, front, and back.
Oh, I see now.
Yeah, that's pretty lame.
But I'm also seeing that same picture as a trading card.
Right. Yeah, it does come with a trading card.
Yeah, it's
so
both.
They put it there for...
Got it.
God knows why. I want to see this 360 version. WWE Smackdown, Xbox 360 High Flyer. I don't know who would wear those shirts, but so it's blue. It has a Rey Mysterio little fake signature there. It says there's only one way to fly. There's only one way, the High Flyer way. Okay, and the cards are okay. They're cool. It says I'm a High Flyer, but it's just got Bobby Lashley, Undertaker, and Cena on the shirt.
All High Flyers.
And it's blue, so George will like it. He doesn't have to Google it. Now, the Fight Dirty one, guess what? It's red. And on the cover, it's got a Randy Orton signature. It says, whatever it takes to get the job done. So, yeah, we've come really far in collector's editions and pre-order prices.
I feel like there was a peak when all the pre-orders and the collector's edition came with figures. And now we're back to now we're kind of on the down slope with you're getting relic cards and...
Yeah, I don't know.
And sometimes the relic cards aren't even from good events.
Yeah. All right, it's time to now sit back. I want you to relax with some R&R, some ratings, and reviews.
I'm ready.
There's a lot of them here. This is on a lot of consoles, everybody. Now for the DS all right, I'm going to go across with game rankings first. The DS with a 61.64, PS2 a 73.6, PS3 a 71.72, PSP a 66.2, the Wii a 59.14, the 360 a 70.47. Metacritic a 61 out of 100. For the DS, PS2 a 71, PS3 74, PSP 68, Wii 59. Nobody liked the Wii one, huh? And the 360, a 71. Now for the DS, GameSpot gives us a 6.5 out of 10. GameSpy with a 3 out of 5. GameZone and IGN with a 7 out of 10. The PS2 from Game Revolution gets a C with a 6.5 from GameSpot. And GameZone gives it a 7 out of 10. And IGN with a 6.8 out of 10. And PlayStation Magazine with an 8.5. Whew, the PS3.
You want to tag me in?
Nope, this is my thing. The
All right.
PS3, Game Informer gives it an 8 out of 10. Game Pro with a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Game Revolution with a C. GameSpot with a 6.5. So GameSpot gave all of them a 6.5, except the Wii with a 4.5, which is a little eh. GameSpy, a 3 out of 5 stars. Game Trailers with a 7.4 out of 10. GameZone and IGN with a 7.5 out of 10. PlayStation Magazine gives the PS3 one a 9 out of 10. Now, the PSP gets a 6.5 out of 10 on both GameZone and IGN. The Wii gets a 4.5 out of 10 on GameSpot, a 7.5 on both GameZone and IGN, and Nintendo Power gives it a 6.5 out of 10. Now, the longest one here, the 360 gets a 6.8 out of 10 on EGM, 6 out of 10 on Eurogamer, 8 out of 10 on GamePro, 4.5 out of 5 stars on... Oh, wait, that's GamePro. The 8 out of 10 was Game Informer. It's all meshing together at this point. Game Revolution gets a C. GameSpot with a 6.5. GameSpy with a 3 out of 5. Game Trailers with a 7.4. GameZone with a 7 out of 10. IGN with a 7.8. And finally, Xbox Magazine with an 8.5 out of 10. Now, GameZone gave the mobile version a 5.5 out of 10 and said overall it does more than most, has decent visuals and runs perfectly smooth, but it doesn't have the proper mechanics to make it feel like a wrestling game. It comes off as an arcade button masher. Well, yeah, it's on your phone. What the hell do you expect? Now, overall, a lot of 6s and 7s here with a few 8s and 9s. We consider this an okay to good game, I would say. Not great. Really, Game Pro and, of course, the PlayStation Xbox magazines were the highest scores here. And Game Informer as well gave these an 8. But I think for the PS3 debut onto a new console, it did pretty well. And it also certainly had room for improvement. I need a drink of water.
Yeah, take your drink of water. You've definitely earned that. And I will take this opportunity to lead us into the next segment where now that you've read all the other people's ratings and reviews, it's now time for this podcast's most important review. And that is our review because, you know what, John?
Say review one more time.
Review. Would you look at the time? It's time to rate the games.
The game!
All right, Johnny Clash, SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. What is your review? Will you give it a play it forever or a future endeavor?
You're fired!
So I have a lot of memories of this game. And here's the tough part. We went back and we played it this week. I enjoyed playing it. And like we always say, I enjoyed our playthroughs. I thought it was fun doing the Hell in a Cell we did. I thought it was fun doing the matches here and there. But when it comes down to longevity and playing through the 24/7 mode and the Hall of Fame mode, I also feel like the roster really lacks here, where this is pretty much the bread and butter, but it was just like a weird time in wrestling for the roster. Yeah. It's like post Ruthless Aggression. We're entering like the Cena PG mode in a year or two, and it's just in a weird spot. The ECW is not what we expect. There's no Rob Van Dam, who is ECW. I haven't played this game since 2008. And I'm probably going to tuck it away and say future endeavor.
You're fired!
Okay.
And that's a tough one because I think I like this game. I'm just probably never going to play it again by myself.
Understood.
But now, George, will you play it forever or future endeavor?
I'm inclined to agree with you on all of the points that you made. The roster is a weird amalgamation of wrestlers,
Watch
and
your
for a game that promotes ECW having only 6 wrestlers, technically 5 because Hardcore Holly is only in the DS version. It's rough. There is a nostalgia factor because we've talked about how we separate the current gameplay that we do for the podcast out of the review, and then also I've got my own stories and memories, much like John playing this in college, staying up way later than I should playing this game with friends. But
Just
again,
found myself down in the basement. I remember just taking Jeff Hardy to the limit.
it all goes back to that same thing where just because you're playing
so bad.
game with your friend, you know what? We're just gonna. That's the social clip. I would like you to make that the social clip. I'm gonna do it. It's a future endeavor.
You're fired!
A double fuge. We haven't had one of these since Hardcore Revolution on the Game Boy.
Yeah, it's rough.
But all right. There you have it. Let us know what you think about this game on all forms of social media at GameWorksPod. George, are you ready to put a bow on this game and enter the soft lock?
Let's do it. All right. So, the Soft Lock is a weekly segment where one of our mega marks from our Patreon gives us a question topic to debate. It's Question of the Week segment, and this week, question comes from Will McDonough. Will's question is, what is your least favorite entry in your favorite video game series? And because John technically answered this question already, he said that you can't pick Gears of War Judgment.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I would 100% pick that one.
I've already got one queued up because I believe that I've talked about this before on the podcast. I'm a big fan. Assassin's Creed. Love that series very much. I think that Syndicate and Unity are two of the weaker games in that whole series. It's hard to pinpoint why necessarily. I know that at my time of playing when they were first released, both of them had a lot of bugs and issues that took a long time to get patches for. And that overall, the gameplay just wasn't in line necessarily with the parts that made other Assassin's Creed games as successful, in my opinion. And then honorable mention, I don't know if you call two games a series, but The Force Unleashed 2 sucked. The story had potential, but the gameplay was just so short.
Okay. I think I have to say
Gears of War Judgment.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Oh, that's a real good answer. Get those jetpacks out of my Call of Duty game.
Yeah, it ruined the entire game. I enjoyed like the unique Call of Duty games that nobody else does, like World at War, which is looked back now that everybody loves it.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
I feel like
is that the first one that has dogs?
Oh, maybe. I remember fighting in the trenches. You have the old guns and the cars.
Yeah, the flamethrower.
Yeah, I enjoyed that when it came out. And I remember everybody hated it, but now you look back and everybody loves it again. Oh, no, you guys all hated this.
Was that one of the games that you had on Wii?
No. Definitely
I had
not.
a friend who had that on Wii, and he was just
That sounds
man,
terrible.
He's like, the flamethrower on the Wii is exactly what you would think having a flamethrower on the Wii is like.
Terrible. No, definitely not. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
That's a good answer. I agree with that answer very much.
Yeah.
But let us know what you think. What are your least favorite video game entries in your favorite video game series? You can let us know on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod.
All right, and next week on the show, we're not playing a game. We have an interview with someone I want everybody to know. I want everybody to look him up because he is a gamer. He is a pro wrestler on the independent circuit. His name is Big Game Leroy. He's actually out with an injury right now, so I want everybody to go show him some love. Listen to this interview and check it out. George.
All right, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast for our weekly playthrough videos, a full archive, and a whole lot more. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for our shirt designs. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for this show early and ad-free for just $5 at GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. and leave us a 5-star review and a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And finally, if you have a product or service you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at gamemarkspod@gmail.com. Johnny Clash next week, Tokan Retsuden 4. There's only one thing left to do, sir. Do that thing that you do.
Game over. Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.